Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'd love it if you could leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from around the world. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. Story 1. It started like any other camping trip. Nothing special, just me and my dad, 2 backpacks, and a trail he claimed he hadn't seen in 30 years. Somewhere in the Bitterroot Mountains of Montana, tucked between ridges thick with pine and air so clean it almost burned your lungs if you breathed too deep. We were going to reconnect, he said. One of those father-daughter trips that seem like a good idea when you're trying to fix something neither of you will admit is broken. He picked the trail. Said his father used to take him there when he was my age. Said the trail had no name, but it always led to the quietest part of the world. I didn't ask why he remembered it so well. I should have. By the time we reached the 3rd day, the forest had changed. Not visibly. The trees were still trees. The rocks were still underfoot, but the sound was gone. At first, I thought my ears had popped. No wind, no birds, not even the insects buzzing in that annoying, electric way they always do at dusk. I remember sitting near the fire and realizing the only sound left in the world was the pop and hiss of burning wood. I said something to Dad about it. He looked up, frowned, and shrugged like it was nothing. But I saw his eyes flick to the trees. Quick, nervous. That night, we heard the footsteps. Slow, deliberate. 2 feet, one in front of the other. Dad froze by the fire. Asked if he thought it might be a bear. He shook his head and muttered, "Not a bear." He didn't elaborate. We stayed up, staring into the trees, flashlights pointed at nothing. But there was something there, just beyond the reach of the light. I could feel it. You know how you sometimes feel someone watching you before you see them? It was like that, only worse. Like the forest itself had grown eyes. Sometime after midnight, I dozed off, just for a moment. I woke to cold air on my face and the smell of ash. The fire had died to embers. I sat up. My dad wasn't in the tent. I panicked, threw on a jacket, and scrambled outside. And there he was, 10 feet from the tent, standing like a statue. Not moving, not even breathing, as far as I could tell. He was looking into the woods, mouth open just a little, like he was whispering something. I called his name once. No response. I crept up behind him and touched his arm. He turned to me, face pale, lips trembling. "There's a man out there," he whispered, "but he has no face. None." I stared at him, thought maybe he was sleepwalking, dreaming, having one of those vivid middle-of-the-night episodes older people sometimes get. But then I heard the footsteps again, this time running, from behind the trees, circling us, fast, faster than anything should move. Dad grabbed my hand and we ran back into the tent, zipped it shut like that flimsy cloth would keep whatever it was out. We didn't sleep the rest of the night. At first light, we packed and hiked out without saying a word. The trail, where we came in, was different now. Smaller, less worn, like no one had walked it in decades. Still, we followed it for miles. When we reached the ranger station, the guy behind the desk looked confused when Dad told him where we'd been. He shook his head and said the trail had been closed for over 20 years. Landslide had taken it out. Said it was unreachable. He even pulled out an old map. There was nothing. Not a path. Not a marker. Not even a name. Dad and I didn't speak the whole ride home. That night, I heard him cry in the bathroom. Quiet, like he didn't want it to hear. But I did. A week later, I went through the pictures on my phone. I'd taken a few shots, mostly trees, and a couple selfies with Dad when the trip still felt normal. But one of them wasn't right. A shot of our campsite on the second night. Fire burning low. Dad crouched near the pit. And behind him, between the trees, something tall, shadowy, watching. No face. Just smooth, pale skin where one should have been. I deleted the photo. Thought it was a glitch. A trick of light. But sometimes I still hear it. Footsteps outside my window at night. Slow, measured, waiting. And I wonder if maybe we never left that trail. Maybe part of us stayed behind. Or maybe something came back with us. Story 2. I wasn't planning to die that day. And I sure as hell wasn't planning to disappear. But looking back now, I know I walked into something ancient. Something that never wanted to be found. It was late October when I decided to go hiking through the woods outside Eureka, California. I'd done the route before, part of a solo backpacking loop that cut inland from the coast. Quiet, remote, perfect for clearing my head. The weather was damp, foggy, the kind of fog that hangs low and thick like it's clinging to your skin. Around mile 11, I saw something strange up ahead, just a shadow of metal peeking through the brush. At first, I thought it was just some old machinery or junk, but curiosity got the better of me, and I pushed through the undergrowth until I reached it. It was a door, steel, rusted to hell, almost camouflaged under moss and vines. Rectangular, about the size of a walk-in freezer door. There was no path leading to it, no signs. It was just there, like the forest had grown around it over time. A part of me knew I should have walked away, turned around, left that damn thing buried in the woods. But there's something about seeing the unnatural in nature that gets under your skin, like a puzzle piece jammed into the wrong spot. I gripped the handle. It was cold and rough, but it moved, with a groan that sounded like the forest exhaling. The door swung open. It led into a tunnel, concrete walls, slick with moisture, stretching down into the earth at a sharp angle. Maybe 20 feet. I hesitated, shined my flashlight in. The beam hit wet stone and darkness beyond. I stepped in. Immediately, everything changed. The air was thick, musty, but with a sharp metallic sting that caught in the back of my throat. Like copper, like blood. I moved slowly, boots slipping slightly on the damp concrete. The further I went, the quieter it got. My footsteps didn't echo. The forest sounds didn't follow. It was like sound just disappeared. I noticed markings on the walls. Symbols. Some carved deep, almost angrily. Others smeared like they'd been drawn with charcoal or maybe ash. But not all of it looked like ash. Some of it was darker, crusted, red-brown. I didn't want to guess. Then I heard it. A whisper, just behind me. Not loud, not threatening, just soft. He's watching. I spun around so fast I nearly lost my balance. My flashlight flickered, shaking in my hand. There was no one there, just the open door behind me. But it looked smaller now, further away. I don't mean I walked far. I mean it looked like the tunnel had stretched, like the door was receding, getting pulled back, like I was in some optical illusion. And then the lights died. Not just my flashlight. It was still on, but everything else. The tiny bit of ambient light that had trickled in from the door, gone. Darkness, thick as tar, pressed against me on all sides. I bolted, No thought, just panic. Ran toward the shrinking door, slipped on wet concrete, bashed my shoulder, got back up, kept running. I burst out into daylight, or what passed for it. The forest was there, but it wasn't. Everything was wrong. Trees were twisted, knotted like they'd been grabbed and wrung by giant hands. Bark peeled in strips like flayed skin. And everywhere, were faces carved into the trees. Not cute, whittled drawings. These were screaming, hollow-eyed, gaping-mouthed faces, each one frozen in terror. Some were small, others life-size. The kind of faces that feel like they're watching you, judging you, warning you. I checked my GPS. Nothing. Just a spinning blue dot floating in gray static. My compass spun in slow, lazy circles. No matter which way I turned, it didn't point north. I walked for hours. Every direction looked the same. Twisted trunks and silent trees. The worst part, there were no sounds. No birds, no wind, not even the crunch of leaves underfoot. It was like the forest had swallowed noise itself. Somewhere around the 10th hour, I started seeing movement in the corners of my eyes. Shadows that ducked behind trees just as I turned. I told myself I was dehydrated, hallucinating. But deep down, I knew I wasn't alone. Once I saw something ahead, a tall, thin figure standing dead still between two trees, dressed in black. I blinked and it was gone. I don't remember getting out. Not really. I was on my hands and knees when I saw the trail again. The real trail. I scrambled toward it like it was a lifeline. By the time I reached my car, it was midnight. My watch said I'd only been gone 4 hours. It took me days to feel normal again. Food didn't taste right. I jumped at every sound. Couldn't sleep more than an hour without jolting awake in a sweat. But the worst part, the part that makes my skin crawl even now, is what happened when I went back. Because I did go back. Brought 2 friends with me, experienced hikers. I told them the story. They laughed, said it was probably an old mine or military hideout. We tracked the exact route, GPS logs, trail notes, everything. But when we got to where the door should have been, there was nothing. No hill, just a gentle slope of trees and moss. No steel, no rust, no door. They looked at me like I'd made the whole thing up, like I was losing my mind. But I know what I saw. I know where I went. And sometimes, in the middle of the night, I hear that whisper again. Not outside, not in dreams. Inside, he's watching. Story 3. I was hiking solo through the Appalachian backcountry, a part of the trail few ever touch. No marked path, no reception, no sound but the crunch of my boots and the distant hum of wind through the leaves. It was late October. The trees were burning red and gold, and the ground was soft from last week's rain. I had 4 days planned alone, and truth be told, I was craving the silence. I wanted to get away from everything. My job, my ex, my damn apartment that felt more like a cage than a home. It was on the 2nd afternoon, just past mile 18 by my map, when I saw her. I came around a bend where the sun broke through the thinning canopy, and there she was, standing in the clearing ahead. A woman, dressed in all white. Thin white dress, old-fashioned looking, like something you'd see in a Civil War photo. Barefoot, her arms hung loose by her sides, and her head was tilted ever so slightly forward, like she was listening. She was facing away from me, I stopped in my tracks. "Ma'am," I called out, cautious but not alarmed. No answer. She didn't flinch, didn't turn. I took a step forward. She vanished. Not walked, not ran. Gone. One blink, and the space she occupied was empty. Not a rustle, not a sound. Just me and the wind again, like she'd never been there. I stood frozen, heart hammering in my chest. And I remember laughing. One of those uneasy chuckles you force out when your brain's trying to convince your body everything's fine. Must have been a trick of the light, I told myself. Exhaustion, dehydration, maybe a memory kicking up something strange. That stretch of woods did feel different though. Heavier, like the trees were watching. I hiked a few more miles before setting up camp, just off a dried creek bed. I ate a protein bar for dinner, wrote a few notes in my travel journal, and zipped up inside my tent before dark settled in. That night, the dreams began. She was in them, standing at the foot of my tent, her white dress rippling even though there was no wind. I couldn't see her face, only her hair falling like wet strings across where her eyes should have been. She didn't move, didn't speak, except for one word. Return. The voice didn't come from her mouth. It came from somewhere else, deep and layered, like something echoing from under the earth. I woke up sweating. My heart raced like I'd been running. I could still hear that word in my ears, and I swear, I saw her standing just beyond the mesh of my tent, still as stone in the moonlight. I didn't sleep again. By sunrise, I was packed and ready to head back, nerves rattled and energy gone. But in my rush, I must have taken a wrong turn. The trail started looking unfamiliar, narrower, overgrown. Trees closer together, their trunks dark with age and rot. I walked for over an hour before I realized I hadn't seen any trail markers, not even an animal track, just twisted roots and shadows. Then I found it, a gully sunk between two moss-choked ridges. At the center stood a gnarled old tree, the roots splayed out like broken fingers. The ground beneath it was mounded up, as if the earth had been stirred recently. A strange smell hung in the air, wet copper and decay. I stepped toward it, something pulling at me, almost guiding me. And then I tripped. My hand shot out to catch myself, and it landed on something hard. Not rock, not wood, bone. I looked down and saw the cracked edge of a human jawbone, teeth still set in place. Yellowed, weathered, real. I scrambled backward, and that's when I saw the rest. More bones. Long bones. A spine, or what was left of one. Ribs half buried. A hand. Fingers curling toward the sky like it had been clawing its way out. I was frozen, breath caught in my throat. Then I heard it, breathing, right behind me. Slow, wet, close enough to touch my neck. I turned around. She was there, so close I could see the fabric of her dress fluttering, though there was no breeze. Her face was inches from mine, but it wasn't a face. Just stretched skin where eyes and a mouth should have been, like melted wax. The smell of damp soil and rot came off her like steam. And still, she didn't move. Just stood, my vision blurred, my ears filled with static. Then everything went black. I woke up days later in a ranger station. A search team had found me wandering near the edge of the forest. I was barefoot, covered in scratches, and muttering the same word over and over. Her. They said I'd been missing for 3 days. I had no memory of walking out. My pack was gone. My journal, gear, everything. Back home, I try to forget, try to rationalize it. Trauma, they said, forest hallucinations aren't unheard of. But the dreams still come. She's always there, watching from the edge of my bed, her white dress stained at the hem, her faceless head tilted as if listening. And always, that same whisper, return. Sometimes I wonder if I really made it out, or if some part of me, soul, spirit, something else, never left that clearing. Maybe she followed me back, or maybe she's just waiting. Either way, I haven't gone hiking since, and I never will again.